Hi, this is Sally's Book Talk, bringing you the best books from around the world every day. Today's book is Asking the Right Questions. The author, Neil Brown, is a distinguished economics professor and keynote speaker at international critical thinking conferences. He regularly provides training for organizations including the U.S. National Security Agency, Russian State Secret Service, IBM, Asia Pacific, and LEGO. His Gala-State book, Asking the Right Questions, now in its 10th edition after 30 years, remains a classic guide to critical thinking. You might wonder, does critical thinking sound too sophisticated for ordinary people? How can one develop critical thinking? Are there practical techniques to learn? This book provides concrete answers to all these questions. First, does everyone need critical thinking? Imagine seeing headlines like, "These foods prevent cancer," or 8 glasses of water daily is essential. Wrong sit-up techniques cause back injuries. Do you accept such claims immediately? Or question them? If skeptical, what's your reasoning? Often we simply ignore such information. Now, consider, would you support a garbage station near your home? Do you believe experts predicting falling housing prices? We constantly process information and make judgments. This judgment capability is critical thinking. From national policies to personal decisions, critical thinking permeates all aspects of life. The book illustrates through advertisements, legislation, school education, and personal decisions, all requiring critical thinking. If still uncertain, let's explore what critical thinking truly means. What does critical thinking have to do with me? This question. The book breaks down critical thinking into 3 key aspects for understanding. First, awareness of critical questions. Second, the ability to appropriately raise and answer key questions. Third, the active willingness to engage with critical questions. Clearly, critical thinking requires proactive responses to external information. The author describes this as gold panning thinking. Let's examine if we possess this mindset. Ask yourself, why does someone want me to believe their view? When noticing flaws in arguments, do you document them? Do you objectively evaluate others' statements? Do you form conclusions based on valid arguments from others? If answering yes to these, you're developing critical thinking. Before formal training, let's warm up our minds. Neil Brown first clarifies a key concept. Values. Ultimately, human interactions are collisions of different value systems. Values are behavioral standards we endorse and expect others to follow. What qualities do you want in friends? What virtues do you wish for your children? These answers help expand understanding of values. Our greatest challenge, understanding those with opposing values. Critical thinkers remain aware their views may need revision, asking, could I be wrong? Has this mental warm-up deepened your understanding of critical thinking? Critical thinking isn't fault-finding, but engaging conversations with humility to form informed conclusions. Neil writes, remember, nearly every message you encounter serves a purpose. Information presented to you aims to influence you in some way. Whether to become someone's mental puppet is your choice.
Some ask, being discerning sounds good. But where to start? Are there learnable techniques?
If we compare critical thinking to a logical maze, Neil's book provides comprehensive questioning techniques to navigate it effectively. The path involves key areas: issue identification, conclusions, evidence evaluation, and reasoning validity, core components of critical thinking. Let's examine these techniques through academic writing examples. First, clearly define your thesis and conclusion when writing. A thesis question initiates discussion or debate. Two types exist: descriptive theses, about past, present, factual accuracy. They reflect our curiosity about worldly patterns. Descriptive questions use keywords. Is it? What causes? E.g., does music training improve math skills? What are common triggers for domestic violence? Prescriptive theses address should questions about ethics, actions like should housing prices fall? Should we implement senior transit passes? Should schools teach sex education? When theses aren't explicit, focus on identifying conclusions. Conclusions represent the core message communicators want you to accept. Signal words like therefore or essentially often precede conclusions. Examples: therefore, the key point is, the essence is. Some conclusions require active questioning to uncover.
So what's their actual point?
What should you consider when presenting arguments? Neil advises, narrow your focus. Many try to cover too much. Make conclusions unmistakably clear. Clear thesis and conclusion distinguish mature writers. Listen for keywords. Is it? Should, therefore, helps identify arguments. After understanding critical thinking's two key elements, thesis and conclusion, let's examine the third: evidence, reasons. Only by identifying supporting evidence can you assess a conclusion's validity. Evidence constitutes the logical foundation supporting a conclusion. Evidence combined with conclusions forms arguments. Use signal words like because or studies show to identify them. Evidence hierarchy. Some support intermediate conclusions that strengthen main conclusions. Practical reading strategies. 1. Identify signal words. 2. Color code components. 3. Number elements. 4. List evidence systematically. Use colored highlighting to differentiate evidence and conclusions. Number each argument component for clarity. Create comprehensive evidence lists post-reading.
What lessons apply when constructing your own arguments?
Neil emphasizes, evidence quality determines persuasive power. Recommendation: explore all potential reasons before concluding. Source: credible evidence from authoritative publications and databases. We've covered identifying core argument components. Next, clarify key terms, precise meanings within arguments. Language ambiguity. Many words have context-dependent meanings. Example: wear as much as possible in summer. vs. wear as much as possible in winter. The ambiguous as much as possible demonstrates semantic complexity. Neil advises scrutinize key terms in arguments. Abstract terms invite multiple interpretations. Example: violation, v. S. Intentional bodily harm specificity reduces ambiguity. The best test: substitute different meanings of ambiguous terms to see if conclusions change significantly. Contextual analysis also helps clarify key terms. Context here refers to linguistic environment. Neil warns, beware emotionally charged words like sacrifice or reform that bypass critical thinking.
What precautions should writers take?
Neil advises precise wording due to cultural, experiential differences affecting interpretation. Clarify ambiguous terms in your arguments through explicit definitions. Following these steps reveals an argument's core meaning. For implicit arguments, analyze logical reasoning from evidence to conclusion. All arguments contain unstated assumptions binding the logic. These hidden premises act as conceptual glue in arguments. One crucial type: value assumptions. Value assumptions are unconscious preferences for certain principles over others. Example: opposing nuclear plants assumes environmental protection outweighs energy needs. This hidden value propagandizes public health over industrial efficiency. Different values could emphasize energy supply reliability instead. Neil lists common value conflicts: security, phi freedom, equality, phi s, individualism, etc. A good starting point for identifying value assumptions is understanding the speaker's background. Whether they're corporate executives, employees, or government officials, different roles shape value priorities. But remember, group membership doesn't guarantee shared values. Besides, value assumptions, descriptive assumptions are unstated factual premises and arguments. Example: mandating Shakespeare study assumes one authentic representation in modern adaptations. 2. Student comprehension. Assumption 1. Productions faithfully reflect Shakespeare's original intent. Assumption 2. Students can effectively interpret and contextualize the works.
How to identify hidden assumptions?
First, examine logical gaps between evidence and conclusions. Second, adopt the author's perspective. Third, consider opposition viewpoints. Role-playing dissent helps uncover implicit assumptions. Writers must explicitly reveal assumptions for clearer communication. The core challenge: identifying value, descriptive assumptions in arguments. You might sense something's wrong without knowing why. This requires detecting logical fallacies. Common trick categories in reasoning. 1. Irrelevant, defective evidence. 2. Distracting information injection. 3. Circular reasoning disguised as support. Manifestations include ad hominem attacks, slippery slope fallacies, etc. Example: physical textbooks yield better learning outcomes than gigs. Because textbook forwarding enhances learning, this constitutes circular reasoning.
A daughter asks, "Why is Dad acting strange?"
Mother responds, midlife crisis. This label explains nothing. Actual causes could be health issues, work stress, marital conflicts. This demonstrates the labeling fallacy. Common fallacy patterns to recognize: ad hominem attacks, false dilemmas, emotional appeals, etc. Red flags include personal attacks, perfect solution fallacies, and vague emotional language. Assess evidence quality. Reliable when based on solid arguments or consensus. Evidence types ranked by reliability: research data, expert opinion, case studies, personal experience, intuition. Beware hasty generalizations in anecdotal evidence. Expert opinions require source verification. Data can deceive through selective presentation. Crucial strategy: examine data collection. Methods first. Check sampling methods and survey wording biases. Incomplete statistics often mislead through isolated percentages. Always compare absolute numbers with percentages. Also exercise caution with concepts like averages. Understand data ranges and frequency distributions to interpret meaning accurately. Second, data strategy. Verify if provided data supports conclusions.
Can the data logically lead to claimed conclusions?
Example: a diet ad claims 94% effectiveness based on 6% side effect reports. No side effects not equal effectiveness. This data doesn't support the claim. Neil advises thoroughly investigating evidence context. This addresses evidence validity, whether arguments hold water. Having navigated critical thinking components, you should now understand key elements. Final advice: avoid dichotomous thinking patterns. Dichotomous thinking oversimplifies complex issues into false dichotomies. Critical thinkers ask how rather than simplistic yes, no questions. Kai-Fu Lee's critical thinking development methods. 1. Ask how for application. 2. Ask why for understanding. 3. Ask why not to challenge assumptions. 4. Engage diverse perspectives through dialogue. These principles align perfectly with the book's teachings. Master critical thinking to enhance rationality and broaden perspectives. That concludes our analysis of asking the right questions. Find notes below. See you tomorrow.